New at 4, we're now in the middle of hurricane season, but the federal agency that handles disasters has been in a political storm for months. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has lost about a third of its staff and some high-profile leaders. President Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem have talked about eliminating FEMA. So what does that mean for Rhode Island? Well, Amanda Milkovits from the Boston Globe, Rhode Island, joins us now to tell us what you found. Amanda?
Okay, well, thanks, Kim. I sat down with Mark Pappas, the director of the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency this week, and I asked him those questions. Now, he said he's been reassuring Governor McKee, his own staff, that at least through the end of the year, their work is business as usual. Now, he said the FEMA administrator for all the New England states told him that nothing's changing right now. Mark talks with other emergency managers across the country, as well as Rhode Island's congressional delegation. And so far, he said the politics in D.C. have just been noise. However, this year, they have had to navigate problems with funding from FEMA.
Okay, so can you break that down a little bit for us? What happened there?
Okay, so about 78% of the state EMA's budget comes from federal funding, and that's about $35 million.
Okay.
The agency disperses a lot of grant money to the municipalities, other agencies, nonprofits for their work on responding to and preventing disasters. But the Trump administration first held up grants earlier this year for months, and Mark Pappas at the Rhode Island EMA had to ask Governor McKee for the state to float about $2.5 million until the grant came through. So for emergency management preparedness, there was a grant that was also cut by 10%. So all the municipalities and the Rhode Island EMA also had to cut back. So the EMA did not cut back any jobs, but they did cut back some public outreach.
Okay, and so we also know that right now FEMA is late in doling out grants for this fiscal year. Is that right?
Yeah, so Rhode Island is waiting on $8.5 million. So Mark Pappas of the Rhode Island EMA hopes they'll have the money by the end of this month.
Okay, and at the same time, we know Rhode Island is one of 20 states that's suing to stop the Trump administration from canceling a grant that helps states mitigate disasters, right?
Right. The money was paying for a project by the University of Rhode Island for a flood risk mapping tool for the changing climate, and it can't be completed without the money.
Okay, all right, so let's get back to sort of what we mentioned at the beginning of this. Is there still talk of FEMA being eliminated?
Okay, so for that, I spoke to Pete Gaynor. He's the former FEMA administrator in Trump's first term. He was the director of the Rhode Island EMA years ago, and he's now president of a company that helps disaster survivors. So Pete Gaynor is very in tune with FEMA, and he said, obviously, morale is terrible. Just recently, the Government Accountability Office said that Trump administration's move to shrink FEMA has hurt its ability to respond to disasters. But Gaynor said there's now a big push to reform FEMA, not kill it. There's a bill that was just passed by a House committee this month. Many groups are also working together in emergency management, and they're backing it. Trump also has his own review council that should be reporting its findings by the end of the year.
And Amanda, before I let you go, we've been talking about grants and money from FEMA, but Gaynor and Pappas said it also sort of sets the standard for how all of these agencies respond to actual emergencies when they occur.
Right, exactly, Kim. And you know, FEMA sends in staff when a disaster is looming, and then they're there in the aftermath. So it's really more work than one state can handle by itself, whether it's as big as Texas or as little as Rhode Island. And when I asked Mark Pappas what Rhode Island will do if FEMA is abolished, he just said, it can't go away. It just can't.
All right, Amanda Milkovits with the Globe, Rhode Island, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Kim.
And if you want to read more, you can find Amanda's full story right now at globe.com/RI.